Welcome to the Austin All Day Podcast. Jason Powers here, and I would like to welcome Chef Philip Speer of Comedor. It is that time of year that many of us make New Year's resolutions, whether it's to get back in shape or make some healthy lifestyle changes. If you want to get back in shape, you can join the Comedor Run Club Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or Thursday for yoga. And if you need to make some changes in your life, or you or anyone you know is struggling with addiction, you can attend Ben's Friends Mondays at 11 a.m. at Comedor. Ben's Friends is a food and industry support group offering a way for professionals who are struggling with substance abuse and addiction. It is that time of year that many of us struggle most with our vices. So if you know anyone or yourself who can benefit from Ben's Friends, I strongly encourage you to attend. 2020 is going to be an excellent year. Thank you everyone who's listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. Make sure to follow it on Instagram. Sit back. Let's celebrate Austin. Check it out. Chef Philip Speer.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thursday afternoon the week before Thanksgiving. Just left my daughter's Thanksgiving lunch and had a quick manager meeting.
Yes. It is grind time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So are you guys doing anything in preparation for Thanksgiving at Comedor?
Not in preparation for Thanksgiving Day, but this is the busy season for restaurants. So
Yeah.
we had our busiest week yet last week, and our fiscal weekend's on Wednesday. So
Sure.
last night we had the note that we had our busiest week yet, and hoping to continue to do so.
Golf clap.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. By the time this goes up will be the week of Christmas.
Okay,
So
cool.
We're reminiscing right now
Awesome.
of our lovely Thanksgiving.
Back in time.
But
yes.
we both did the daddy-daughter lunch at the school.
The
And
daddy-daughter lunch today, as I was saying, it's maybe the last one I ever do. I have an older daughter who's out of school, but this was a 5th grade lunch, and I don't think they do it in middle school. So
yeah, I think they become too cool for that.
yeah,
That's a thing, right? That certainly happened to me when I was in 6th grade.
right.
So I originally reached out to you because of obvious reasons. I mean, Comedor is amazing. Mm-hmm. It's getting rave reviews, but Ben's Friends is something. And then you didn't stop there. You started with the running club and also yoga, I see now.
Yeah. So we started with the run club, and we began doing the run club. Really, pre-opening, Chef Gabe and Chef Alon and I we were here 18, 20 hours a day, and we were just like, we need to get outside. We need to get outside. We need to do something. So we began just running around downtown. As we did that, as we went through the opening, a few of the other cooks were like, well, I want to join you guys. So became 5 of us who were regularly doing that. We were doing it every day, again, just for some sanity, just to get outside, breathe some fresh air. We were in this building so much. And we started posting it on our Instagram stories. It's funny, this whole thing really kind of came about on Instagram, which I don't think is abnormal these days. But we started hashtagging Comedor Run Club as a nod to another restaurant in San Antonio it's a very, very small restaurant. I think they have like 6 employees, and they were hashtagging Run Club. And so it was more of a nod, and I think for them it was kind of a joke. For us it was kind of a joke. And then a couple people reached out, were like, well, we want to run with you guys. And before I knew it, I was creating an Instagram page. We were having multiple people from restaurants reaching out. We now have over 50 people who run with us regularly. We've organized the runs, and instead of going every day and running for different amounts of time, we now run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m., 5K. We have a 5K route. We enter organized races as a group. We've really kind of tried to take it to the next level and create a mission behind what we're doing, and that is that we can bring service industry people together just like you would, after work. You go and you meet up with other chefs and other cooks and other servers and other bartenders, but we can do it before work. Yeah. We can go do something a little healthier, a little earlier in the day, get something to get your physical body and your mind in the right space to start a long, hard shift, and then deal with the stress from that right when we wake up, rather than feeling like this need to go to the bar after work and blow off steam and build community and camaraderie there. You know, the hashtags become shift to post shift. You know, why can't we do these pre-shift? You know, we can meet at 10 a.m. and run, go get some coffee, go back to work, go to work. I mean, there's a lot of things. We have it a little bit later in the day. Most run groups run at 6 or 7 a.m. We do more service industry-friendly hours. We run at 10 a.m.
Sure.
We do a manageable distance.
It'd be a pretty slim crowd at 6 a.m.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we encourage casual pacing. You know, we definitely have some people who run fast, and there are days that some of us run faster than others, but we encourage casual pace. We want it to be open and inclusive of everyone in any restaurant, hotel, bar, catering company, whatever it may be. And even beyond, we have people who now run with us, a few people who run with us that are not directly involved with the service industry. Some may have worked in the industry in the past. Some may have a spouse that does, or a partner of some sort. But it's awesome. The yoga had came into play where we wanted to host something that targeted people that weren't necessarily into running. However, we have many people who run with us who are not into running.
Yeah.
Who have since decided they like it a little bit more. Some of them still don't love running, but they love what it is that we're doing. And so we do the yoga. It's hosted by the Comedor Run Club at Comedor, and we do an hour of yoga. We had a session today from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
What days of the week are you doing the yoga?
Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. every Thursday.
Okay. Yeah. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday's the running.
Right.
Thursday's the yoga.
Correct.
I really like this approach to, instead of getting off of work and where you have this kind of idea that you're going to feel better when you have a drink.
Correct.
You actually end up feeling better when you exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, whether you do it before work or after work, but doing it in the morning. Did you exercise previously in the mornings?
I mean, I over the last 5 years, the answer to that question is yes. Previous to that, when the majority of my career, the answer would be no. There was no exercise.
And
at any time
over
of day.
these last 5 years, obviously you noticed that you get like you have an improvement in your day if you exercise.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, your ability to deal, your mental clarity it's unquestionable whether or not it's better. Your ability to take on stressful situations, I think increases because you're a little bit more mentally prepared for that.
Well, you run some of the BS in your head out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's, we run together, we start together, we finish together, but we also, running is whether or not you're doing it with a group, it's kind of a solo thing, right? So you can get it in your head. A lot of people wear headphones. We still talk to each other, but, we might talk to each other at a stoplight, pull the headphones off. But when you're running, you can zen out and focus on things you need to do. Absolutely. It's very meditative.
So it is pretty much service industry,
It is a service.
It goes beyond.
I mean, when I describe the Run Club, or when I'm currently writing a mission statement for us, it is a service industry-based run club, and we want to remain that way. But all are welcome to join us.
Sure. I love it. And I have come here not to run. I should, but I've come here and seen you guys run. And I have seen some of those guys who have a pretty quick pace come around the block. Like, you guys are already done?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, we have some people who were never runners who now are entering organized races and placing. Or even one of our women won. She had never done an organized race before. She was a runner, but she had never been interested in that. And as we started to form this club and this group, and the idea of going and doing these races came about, everyone was really excited by that. We have people who, like I said, have never done that, who are now doing it, picking their pace up. We have somebody PR'd the other day running a 6-minute mile, but that's not to...
It's not a competition.
Yeah, and it's not to discourage other people from coming, because at the same time, there was somebody who was running a 12-minute mile who had just as much fun and just as much benefit of it.
Oh, yeah, as long as you're out there.
Yes.
Yeah, that is
what it's a short enough distance where we can all hang out and give you a high five on the way when it's over. Sure. There are times that I have been the top of the pack and the bottom of the pack just because of not only how I feel, but wanting to run with people who are newer, who may not know the route. And it's all, I reap the same benefit from every time.
Sure. You guys should get some Comedor Run Club hats or shirts or headbands and sign up for the Statesman and just
we have
Yeah.
We have gear and tattoos already.
You do? Okay.
yeah.
You're ahead of me. Are you signed up for it?
We got 21
and the
people
tattoos.
with this
Okay.
tattoo.
Okay. I love it.
We we have shirts. Statesman, the Captain K. We actually have 2 organized races before that.
Cool.
That we're doing. We're going to do the 3M and the Austin half marathon. A couple of our guys are going to do the full marathon, and we just did the Run for the Water, which is a 5,000 person race. And
This is cool. Perfect.
And I was actually right in the middle when you walked up. After setting up, I was in a thread with our run club. We're going to do the turkey trot together. So
Okay, excellent. So I'm curious, prior to the 5 years, were you ever a runner?
no, absolutely not.
Never your whole life?
No way.
Okay, so it's the first thing for you.
Yeah.
But you're
Zero
attracted to it?
Now. Yeah.
Or was it something you had to get used to?
Well, I mean, I made a really drastic life change 5 years ago.
Sure.
Some of it out of necessity, and most of it from necessity. And at that point, I was like, okay, cool, I'll try this running thing. And I actually took to it pretty quickly, surprisingly, even though I was, at that point, my heaviest, I was 100 pounds overweight.
So you might have been motivated by, let's lose some weight here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Just me needing to do a drastic lifestyle change. I actually started doing trail running first, which is
We got a good city for that.
yeah, it was awesome. And then went into like more of the street running and
Yeah.
And urban-
running
more the urban.
is meditative. It can be addicting in itself.
absolutely.
I mean, if you get into running enough, especially if you clean up your act, you can kind of feel like you need to run in order to be sane.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm sure you
burn some of that off.
Yeah. So you're typically attending the run club Monday, Wednesday, Fridays?
I'm
Always.
there 90% of the time.
90%?
I missed yesterday.
Okay. All right. Well, cool.
There's been there's two others that I missed due to being out of town that
Sure.
I could not reschedule.
Well,
So,
right.
but yes,
Sure.
absolutely.
So Ben's friends. Now, this is not something that originated right here with you.
No, it began in Charlotte.
Okay. But you practice Ben's friends here.
So myself and then my business partner William Ball is the co-chair. We are the chairs of Ben's Friends in Austin.
Okay.
Ben's Friends is a group that was, as I said, was created in Charlotte. A gentleman named Bill Murray had committed suicide.
Not the Bill Murray we're thinking. You said Bill. Ben Murray.
Yeah, did I say
Ben
Bill?
Murray.
Oh,
I thought you said. Okay. So Ben.
I may have. A gentleman named Ben Murray, he had committed suicide. His close friends and people who'd worked with him in the industry for a very long time were tired of these kinds of stories happening, especially someone so close to them.
Yeah.
So they created an organization called Ben's Friends. These two men, Steve and Mickey, Steve Palmer, Mickey Bax, were already living in sobriety and had gotten sober through AA, but they created the organization Ben's Friends, which was basically a group of food and beverage professionals getting together an hour a week and discussing their relationships and addictions to drugs and alcohol and how it related to the restaurant industry or workplace.
Okay. Now, we're both on In the Weeds. A lot of folks in Austin are on there if they're in the service industry, and I would see you post about this. Come join us for Ben's Friends. I was not aware of what it was, even from the post, but I kind of gathered it was something for like maybe a recovery or a service industry. And now I've kind of gathered a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said that. Maybe I need to be a little more specific in the post.
Just maybe once or twice.
Because what I say is, come just discuss your relationship with drugs and alcohol.
Right, exactly.
Because I don't want to scare anyone away and have anyone think that walking in that door is labeling you as anything. I believe that there's a lot of the stigma around AA, which I got sober through Alcoholics Anonymous, and
it was one of my questions. Yeah.
and very much believe in a 12-step program. I believe that Ben's Friends is a great way to introduce someone to that way of thinking. I don't think that people will necessarily get sober just coming and hanging out for 1 hour a week at my restaurant from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Mondays, but it's a step in the right direction. It shows that other people can do it. It shows that there's a community around it. It shows that you can continue to go to work and be a badass bartender, be an amazing chef, be a server. You can still be a sommelier. You can do whatever you want to do and live a sober lifestyle. And that's what's important to me with Bench Friends, and that's the message I want to get across is, hey, come hang out with us and let's have these conversations. And then from there, I just want you to see that this is doable.
What more of a appropriate place? Because it seems that we've had is a stereotype, I guess, for years, or even just common practice that you work in the kitchen, you play hard, you work hard, you play hard.
Right.
You get off, you start drinking, and the Rudd Club is evidence that if you wake up and start with your morning a little healthier, you're going to have...
You're going to make better decisions throughout the day.
Better decisions. You're going to sleep better. You're going to be healthier. You're going to lose some weight.
Yeah, you walk out of work and you might think to yourself, man, I could go out and have some beers, or I could go to bed and get up and go run with all these guys tomorrow, because there's always a big group of... like you said, you've seen the group. There's always a group of us running. We're having fun. We start together, we end together. Sometimes we end at other restaurants and have, 2 weeks from this Friday, we're going to end at Fix and do a big biscuit
nice.
biscuit buffet with the famous Fix biscuits. We do things like that all the time. And I think it's, it's another way to keep celebrating the restaurant industry community and to reinforce the camaraderie that we all, feel such a part of, but just in a different way.
Yeah. It's great to see, and it sticks with the theme of the running is for service industry, the yoga, basically service industry, Ben's friends.
Well, it's nice too. I mean, we're in those kitchens all day long, and they're usually small and crowded, and it's nice to get out in the world and run, or get out and stretch and do the yoga, do the breathing. Yeah.
No kidding that it would lead to some kind of form of depression or drug abuse or alcohol abuse. You're always
it's not always windows working in a lot of kitchens.
What's that?
So there are not a lot of kitchens with windows.
It's very true, right? It's like a jail cell in a way, a cave, right? You gotta walk outside to see if it's raining or not.
Right.
Sometimes you never know in Austin. Sometimes. It might have rained and now it's beautiful again.
Yep.
So let's rewind a little bit. 5 years. I read your Instagram is public, yes?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. My whole story is pretty public.
Yes. So 5 years, you wrote a little description there, which was great to read. So 5 years ago.
5 years ago, I had my fourth DWI. Through a pretty nasty car wreck. Luckily, no one was injured. My fourth DWI landed me in jail again for I don't know how many times I was in jail, between 21 and 37, but it was a lot more than the average person.
And all while cooking.
Yeah, all while in the restaurant industry. Now, I say this a lot. I don't scapegoat the restaurant industry for the decisions I made. I made those decisions 100% on my own.
Sure.
It wasn't like, oh, I'm a cook, I have to do this, but I did.
Yeah.
So after my fourth DWI, obviously it landed me first in rehab. Well, not obviously, but first I chose to go to rehab. After I got out of jail, I chose to go to rehab. And then once I was done with rehab, an extensive inpatient rehab, did an outpatient rehab. Remained sober through not only court-ordered, but AA meetings, community service, and a lot of...
Can we go to that day? It was 5 years. I know it's 5 years ago and some change on this day.
Right.
What was that morning like? Or how many days did you wake up saying, I'm done with this? Or did you do that?
How many days previous?
Yeah. Did you have like a cycle where you were waking up saying, I'm going to stop,
Before I did stop?
Yes.
Before the accident? Yeah, absolutely. There were a lot of... I probably spent that entire last year telling myself that multiple times a week.
I'm done with this lifestyle.
Yeah.
Change my ways.
I had people close to me. I had so many positives in my career at that point. And, again, I don't scapegoat the industry, but in my brain, I had said, work hard, play hard. That was my mantra as well. And I would travel a lot, and through the travel and the festivals and the work in different cities and meeting other chefs, and that's what we all did.
So you justified it in your head.
For sure.
What you're doing was acceptable.
Sure. And I was also spending a lot of time in other cities away from home where there's not a lot of accountability.
Sure.
Because I didn't have a lot of self-accountability, right? So there was not the other accountability. Because
in your defense, traveling's not always... you're kind of like, getting numbing what's going on. You're not home.
absolutely. There's not a lot of accountability. I don't have to be anywhere at any real specific time. I don't have to wake up and take a child anywhere. There's a lot of things that don't need to happen. So, I had people close to me say, hey, you're going to fuck this up, and this is how. And I would be like, yeah, whatever, right? And then the next morning I'd be like, yeah, that is. And I remember actually one time driving in my car after drinking, not wrecking that time, down Washington Avenue in Houston, thinking to myself, this is it. Like, this is how this was all gonna end. Because from the outside, if you looked at my life and my career path and what it looked like, you would have said that I was the very top. I mean, I was at the very top of my game, top of the world on that. Great position in a great company, making great money, great family. All of it on paper was perfect. So, I would say this is how this is going to go away. I just know it. Almost self-sabotaging, but I don't have any reason why I think I would have been self-sabotaging. I'm sure there's some digging I need to do on that. However, I would wake up often and tell myself, like, this is why, this is how this will end. I'd throw away baggies of Coke and be like, I'm never going to touch this again. Or this is why.
And that evening, back out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Did people know that you felt that way during that time?
Some people knew, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
people who were close to me, it wasn't an open conversation, but people who were close to me knew and understood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's funny that addicts, alcoholics can go through their life. Like you said, it looks perfect on the outside, and on the inside, you're driving down the street saying, I'm done. This is ridiculous. This is how it's going to end, kind of thing. And nobody knows.
Yeah, and you keep going.
Which is insanity, right?
Right, and that's definitely a term that's used a lot in recovery and in 12 steps is like, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing every day and expecting different results. Except I didn't expect different results. I think I expected the end result to be what it was.
Yeah.
And not entirely sure why. So then, I opened up I'd opened up multiple restaurants with the same company at that point. I'd opened up the last restaurant, which was St. Philip.
Which I remember. I still miss.
Yeah, it was good. We'd been open just a few days before I did an event. It was a Thursday night. I did an event downtown for a local nonprofit, and it turned into a party, and there was a bunch of chefs partying. Even Callie was there. Like, we were all there, and we were having a good time. And then we went to another bar.
That's Philip Speer.
Yeah, my wife at the time, my ex-wife, and we went to another bar, and the party sort of got sloppy and ugly there, and some people went home, some people went other places. I ended up kind of on my own, and then was able to get the keys to my car, and got in my car, went to another bar, and then from that bar. Was my neighborhood bar. I was not far from home. I got in my car. I had multiple people, the owner and the bartender and manager of that bar, trying to stop me from getting in my car.
So it must have been pretty bad that evening.
Yeah. I'm good at being sneaky and fast, even fat. Got in my car. What I wanted prevailed. Got in my car and then drove into a live gas main. Luckily, it did not explode, but there was concern that it would. They shut down that whole part of the city.
Oh, Lord.
My car had done multiple flipovers. The only thing I remember is walking back to my car I remember being woken up. Apparently, I was like 300 or 400 yards away from the scene. I think I was not far from home, so I think I was probably trying to make it home on foot. I remember coming back to my car and just seeing it in the middle of the road, like literally in the middle of the road, upside down, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's where we are."
Yeah.
And that, at that point, I was back into reality.
So eye-opening.
Yeah, no, I'll never.
What's going through your head at that moment? Are you paranoid of what the outcome's going to be like as far as jail, or are you?
At that particular moment, what was going through my head is, how am I going to get out of this?
Yeah.
Right, like. Yeah. I wasn't in the car. No one saw me driving. Can I say someone else was driving? You know,
definitely a Lyft driver did that.
yeah. Like what is going on? That's what was going through my head at that moment.
Sure.
Once the reality of it all hit me, you know, was going through my head was, honestly, I mean, the main three things that were going through my head were my kids, my job, and jail.
Yeah.
You know, and those three things kind of over and over again.
The success that you've achieved and then the lows that you have achieved are almost parallel.
Yeah.
You know, you've
I felt them in the same day. Yeah, that's for sure.
Right, exactly. Right. 4 days after St. Philip's. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was a great night. Like I felt my highs and lows within the same 12-hour period, probably.
Sure. And I think that's important for people who may not achieve those highs, though. Those lows you can still relate to. How many times, or even in Ben Friend or in AA meetings, you have folks who are who've been there in the gutter.
And they will, yeah. And the low gets lower.
Yeah.
I still have an opportunity to hit a lowest point.
Sure. Yeah. Well, knock on wood.
That can happen, you know. And I think it's important that people realize that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you hear rock bottom all the time, and I personally have issue with that term because
you keep lowering.
Rock bottom's dead.
Yeah.
Sure. You know, rock bottom is a movable idea.
Yeah.
It is inconsistent. You know, rock bottom tomorrow will be very different than rock bottom 5 years ago.
Sure.
So I think it's important that we remember that it can, you know, when you're on your highest again, when you can build your life back up, I think you have to always understand that every day is a day, and it can change.
Sure.
Yeah.
And to where you are right now, you are doing all the appropriate things to not find yourself in that place again.
Yeah, I mean, I do all these things. I like to create, I'm hoping that we can create community to make a real change in the industry. And when I say a change in the industry, I'm not trying to take anything away from people. I think people should be able to have whatever fun they want to have.
Yes.
I support that. However, I want to, part of our mission is create new space, right? So we're not taking away your other space. We're not taking away your ability to go to a bar and have a good time and have a beer.
Yeah.
I can't do that. So let's create some space to do something different.
Sure.
And the more that's funny is people like community. As you see those things grow, you want to join and you want to make those changes, and you can cause a real shift. And
That's
I think
true.
we are causing a real shift, at least locally and even internationally. I mean, I've had 5 different chefs or restaurant owners in 5 different cities reach out to me and say, "Hey, I want to do a run club as well."
Sure.
And they have.
That's excellent.
And a couple of those people are concerned about sobriety and mental health in that way, and a few of the other people are concerned just about physical health and doing something different.
Yeah.
But again, it's just creating space, and I think we can create this shift, not only in our local communities but all across. And it's a bigger picture thing that I think about as well.
It doesn't even need a label. Right. Whether it's health, it's health in general. It's just
Correct.
a healthy, positive thing to do.
And I do, and I have led some of these charges because I want to make a difference to other people and in our community. But selfishly, I do it for myself too, because I know that if I'm accountable to the Run Club, or I'm accountable to Ben's Friends, or I'm accountable to being open to people discussing with me their issues with drugs and alcohol and addiction, that's an accountability that I work well within. Well, I don't want to sit here and say I need it, but maybe I do. Yeah, but it's something that helps me.
Yeah, you're selfish, but you need to be selfish to maintain your strength, your integrity, so you can be there for your family. And if you let that stuff go, Yeah. So there's absolutely no shame in being selfish about something like that. And I think it's excellent. This podcast was originally pitched all around Austin as, come, get out of the kitchen and take a break, and I'm gonna pour you a drink, and it was all surrounded around drinking and coming in and taking a break. And then I started seeing you do this, and even myself, I was like, what? I was, because I'm stuck in the stereotype, like in the hamster wheel. No, we all drink. come drink, And I really liked what you were doing, and that's why I originally wanted to talk to you, and for obvious other reasons. But I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's another option.
It's an evolution.
It's that simple. It's just another option.
It's another option, but there's a lot of talk going around about the days of chefs throwing pots and getting angry and cussing somebody out and belittling somebody, and those days are going away. Maybe people are more approachable and more friendly. Maybe the days of boozing and drugging and leaving work and partying till 4 only to come back in at 11 or whatever the case is, or your 4th DUI. Those days can slowly kind of fade away.
Yeah, I believe so. Out of necessity. We talk about sustainability in our food. We talk about sustainability in our communities and ecosystems, but we need sustainabilities in ourselves. When the average burnout rate for a chef is in his 30s, there's not going to be a lot of change because there's going to be so many young people coming and doing this. And if we can have some of the older professionals staying in the industry, working in their 40s, 50s, 60s, owning restaurants, and guiding and mentoring some of the new generations, there can be a real change in the culture that creates a lot more sustainability, like personal physical sustainability for us. So we're not burning out at 35. So this is more of a profession that is something that you can retire on.
Yeah.
But you need to do things like pay for your staff's health insurance, which we do. We need to do things like create space for people to have bench friends or yoga or running. That takes resources from the restaurant, right? But we have my business partner and I, William Ball, who will tell you himself that he has he has over 5 years of sobriety, and he has battled with the same things I've battled with, but in a different way. He and I decided that a long time ago that we wanted to create a business that was going to allow people to be healthy.
Yeah.
That stuff it's I have to put my own personal time into it, which I choose to do and want to do.
Yeah.
But there are restaurant resources that go into that, which
Sure.
we have allotted for and allowed. And we do, like I said, we do health insurance. And it's important because you have to treat your people. If you want them to be healthy, you have to give them an opportunity to do so.
Yeah. Comedor, as far as restaurant goes, is a baby.
Mm-hmm.
But
absolutely.
I would venture and go out on a limb to say that if it were an older restaurant, it had been here for 5 or 6 years, and had its footing and its name was known, that if you started this then, and a lot of these times and space for these healthy activities, that you would build more morale and camaraderie in your kitchen, and it's almost like you're paying for a better team, a healthier team.
Oh, absolutely. The culture is what keeps people there, right? Let's be honest, there's not a lot of real glamorous perks to the job, especially in the back of house, right? So, there we have to create an institution for learning. We have to create a place where people feel safe and comfortable and listened to and respected. And we have to create a place or a culture where people feel like they can be healthy. And that will, whatever resources it takes to do that will absolutely pay it back in the end when you have a larger retention. You have less people walking out the door. You have more people who are bought into the culture and the loyalty, which then evolves the culture because the culture is not one person. The culture is the entirety of the organization. And as that happens and more people are folded into that culture evolves. And when that culture evolves, it just becomes a better place to work. And then you need to do something with it. Then you have more restaurants. That's what happened at Uchi. They had such a great culture and so much talent and so much ability to do more that Uchiko was open out of the necessity to move the people because no one was leaving. And we're like, well, people, we need to do something with these people, right? Because they have so much talent and so much drive and so much passion, and we're going to lose these people if we don't put them somewhere else.
Sure.
So that forced Uchiko to open. Of course, it was also a business decision. Yeah. But, ultimately, and then as that happened, more people walked in the door, and as all of these things are not only for the guests, not only for the business owner, but it's very much for the staff too.
Yeah. And you said for Comedor, the health insurance, that's big. That's big.
It's huge, and luckily you're seeing it more and more all over the country, all over our city.
Yeah.
Because it can't be ignored anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
especially if a few restaurants start doing it, then those restaurants are getting the employees.
And we also have that ham, right, for the musicians.
Mm-hmm, ham, and there's Sims, and there's actually there are a few nonprofits recently that have been put together in the industry and based either in our local community or right outside of our communities, all in Texas, that are beginning to put work towards a ham-style organization that benefits the restaurant industry.
Good.
You know, we're all working for the same thing,
yeah.
and we're just doing it in different ways. And I think it's important to realize, like, you know, as we build this healthier community in our industry, you know, we're all going for the same goal.
Sure.
And you know, if what we can do here at Comedor is create space, and then someone at Suerte or Holy Roller can actually create funds, create services, resources, or align them, you know, we can all do something different that is all working towards the same goal of making a healthier place.
Absolutely.
And a healthier community. But it goes beyond that too. It starts with the food that we're bringing in the doors.
Sure. Yeah. Have you heard of Chef Jay's sustainability, the Time Out for Tuna?
No, I have not.
You guys don't have any tuna on your menu, do you?
We do. We use line cut Gulf tuna.
Oh, okay. You should talk to him about this Time Out for Tuna as far as, you know, what's coming through the door.
Yeah. All of our fish that we utilize is very, very sustainable.
Nice. Good.
It's very important what we bring through the door is, and what I think every chef and restaurant brings through the door is of the ultimate quality to put into people's bodies, because this is a cycle. And I think people forget about the cycle of the soil to the seed, to the crop, to the, you know, to the farmer, to the delivery system, to the storage, to the preparation, to the to finally getting to the guest, and then evacuating the guest and going back into the soil. Like this is
steps are like
our food system is just that. It's a cycle, and it's important that people realize that. I think I know, and there has been for many decades. This is nothing new, but there's a big disconnect of, you know, I think people get really surprised sometimes when they realize that you don't just open up a refrigerator and there's just food there. Like, it comes from somewhere.
Sure.
Right. So it's important, but we don't need to go down that rabbit hole today.
Sure. So I'm just curious. You mentioned Uchi. When your time you put in there, it just brings me to the big open question of like regrets.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have any like lingering things that really eat at you from your previous lifestyle that you haven't been able to kind of let go, or are there things that you still miss even?
Oh, I mean, there's definitely things I miss, and there's opportunities that I know would have been great for me in the long run. I mean, I was a partner.
Yeah.
I mean,
so is that fall?
I mean, I think
regrets,
I don't know if it's public information what that company's worth. We could probably do some math.
Yeah.
I was there for over a decade. I'd worked myself into a partnership with that group.
Sure.
And I helped build that group. You know, there's a group. A lot of us did.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't call it a regret, but I absolutely, I mean, there's so much. The people I worked with, and the people that I worked for and beside, and the people that worked for me. I mean, there was so much passion and drive and opportunity there at that time, you know. And I can't speak on it now. I'm not there anymore. But Tyson Cole is still a great friend of mine. John Baydale, the company president, we still text regularly and communicate. Daryl Koenig, the principal of the entire company, eats at Comedor a few times a month. I mean,
nice.
These people are all still very important and close to me, and I miss those connections and relationships, those professional connections, relationships. But as far as regrets go, I mean, that's a tough one for me. I would like to sit here and say, like, I have no regrets. I am everywhere. I've learned everything, and everything in my life has brought me to the point today through all decisions I made, and I can't regret any of that. However, I mean, there are times, there are things that were said or moves that were made or that I wish had never happened, but
sure.
But I can't dwell on that.
Can't dwell on it. No,
and I won't, and I don't.
And it's paved the way for you to be who you are today.
It is, and had I not had a fourth DWI and continued down the same path with the same company, would I have poised myself to be to have some more financial success than I currently have or may ever have? Maybe. How would I have lived through it? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's that dramatic, honestly. There's a very good chance that wreck could have hit someone, could have exploded that gas main, could have landed me. I could have not done the right things, ended up in jail for a decade, come out of jail, had zero relationship with my family, my children, my daughters. All of those things could have happened. All the what ifs do nothing but create stress and anxiety and just a way to be held back. So I don't do them.
Right. No, that's a good thing. But no, where you are today, though, are you almost, if you could step back and say, there's this, there's that, I don't do the what ifs, but are you just happy about the life that you've led? Like even including the mistakes?
Oh, yeah. I've done it all. I've done a lot of I've had, yes. Sometimes, and I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but sometimes I laugh and I'm like, it was a good fucking run, and I'm very lucky to have gotten away with a lot of shit. That when I say gotten away with, I'm very lucky to have lived through a lot of things that I did, and through living through those things, there's a lot of relationships made and lost. There's a lot of connections made. There's a lot of travel, a lot of things to see. A lot of lessons learned and taught that, I have, when I look at my entire life, it's been great.
And it could have gone a lot worse.
Of course.
But no slouch on how bad it went, right?
Well, I don't even look at it that way when I say how bad it went. Again, I'm incredibly grateful to have been able to walk away from that situation and deal with the consequences in such a way that I was still able to have a family and a career.
Yeah. Family is very important. If you lose that, I'm sure it would be very.
So when you say how bad it got,
right, I get you. No, but 4 DUIs, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So my question for you is this. Philip Speer, there's upcoming chefs who want to work with you. Mm-hmm. What if these guys, and I know you support whatever lifestyle you want to choose to live, but if somebody comes through the door and they drink, they party, they do the after work jam, and I don't know, maybe they smoke before they come in or something. Do you frown on it, or do you ever run into that here at Comedor? And I'm just talking to that one guy who might want to come work for you who's thinking that,
Well, I think that's definitely a thing when we talk about how we're getting people in the door and what kind of people we're getting in the door. That's something that needs to be paid attention to. I'm sure there is talk, or there are people who think, well, I can't fit in there because this chef is so open about sobriety and they do these things that are geared around mental and physical health. That's not the place for me. I'm a fucking pirate. I want to go line cook and go out and get hammered and party. Sure. To be completely honest with you, I can pretty much guarantee that person may not have a place in our kitchen.
Okay. All right.
And that has more to do with professionalism than anything else, because I guarantee you that if you're living that lifestyle, you are lacking in professionalism.
Yeah.
However,
this is such a different Philip Speer, right?
Yeah. However, there are some guys in our kitchen who I know party.
Yeah.
But they keep it professional.
Sure.
And as long as they're keeping it professional, that's great. I might even cross paths with them on East 6th before probably midnight. Yeah. Having a Topo Chico, finishing up a dinner at Spicy Boys or something over in the bar district, and give a cheers and go along my way and be very happy that I ran into that person. But like I said, I guarantee you, if you're living a certain lifestyle where you can't keep your professionalism as paramount or as a priority when you walk in that door, you're not going to have a place in our kitchen.
Sure. And also, when you say, if somebody thinks, they do the running, they do the yoga, it's not for me. It's
also not mandatory.
Right. It's not mandatory, but they might feel like they not fit in. But it's also, we are going through like a huge evolution in the industry as far as just workers
beyond the industry. I mean,
yeah, people being taken care of more, and it's just silly to think that you wouldn't fit in somewhere where people were being positive with their lives.
Oh, I agree. And look, I mean, real talk, like we're not going to survive as a civilization if we don't start making some fucking changes.
Yeah, it's a very scary time, which is a whole other podcast.
And I think that's really, really important to realize. Like, so much of this is necessity. You know, I talk about the sustainability of ourselves, but it's,
it's so.
I can't. Yeah, let's narrow in on the industry though. It is not mandatory. It is encouraged. It is definitely not mandatory. Funny, when you go run with our run club, less than 50% of the people running actually work at Comedor. Yeah. We have people from all over. We have people from so many restaurants.
If I didn't have the Thanksgiving lunch today, I was going to come.
Yeah, I mean, and that would have been super, super exciting. We want everyone to come and join us. So, no, I hope that people don't look at us and say, I am intimidated. And I think at the end of the day, it turns into it's based out of intimidation or some sort of fear of not being able to live up to some false expectation. However, there are some people who are like, hey, I like to party. I don't think I belong there. Anybody who comes and does an amazing job, has passion for what they do, puts in the time and effort to build their craft and their skill, and does so while keeping a positive, healthy work performance in a positive, healthy environment, is absolutely welcome to come through our door, and I encourage it. Go. And when they do, they may be encouraged by me to do something healthy.
Yeah, you got to, you got.
But they're not. Now. Yeah, but they're not going to be forced into it by any means. And I know pretty quickly if I'm going to get anywhere with that. Sure. And I don't have the time to harp someone.
Yeah.
I don't have the time or the energy, and I don't want to make them feel shitty either.
So there it is for the record. I mean, this is a. What are we best restaurant in Austin? Is that a nominee or something?
We have been, again, so much gratitude here, and I truly mean that. I don't feel like I have to say that. Like I really mean that. I mean, we have hit all the lists.
It's amazing.
We locally and then nationally, we just were on the Esquire top 10 best new restaurants in the U.S. Very
cool.
And there's still some other things that are yet to come out, and we're really excited and grateful for that. But that's a testament to the work that the entire team puts in every day. Yeah. And it's unreal. You know, when you see what's going on in there from the minute you walk in the door and you're greeted by someone at our host stand. We even put the effort into the valet experience. I mean, it is the sum of all its parts. It is not one chef. It is not two chefs. It is not the kitchen. It's the entire restaurant.
Sure. That
makes that experience the way it is. From inception, from my business partners and the visionaries of this concept, from the architects involved and how the building was built and where it was built and the city it was built. Like it all works together.
Yeah.
And that experience, if done correctly, if executed correctly by us, it just hits you, and there's no, it just hits you, and I hope that people are having those, and I know people are having those experiences coming through the door. And there are misses, that's real.
Sure, yeah.
Well,
that's
but we hope to fix those when we have those opportunities to do so. But yeah, I mean, as far as like the recognition, we've been super blessed to get those.
Sure.
Those
and you've got
those recognitions.
You've got people who want to work with you. So I mean, it's not. It's amazing. You know what I mean? What are your plans here for Comedor? What I love so much about this is that you just keep going, like the yoga thing, the running, the bench friends. That all. No one else in Austin is doing anything like that. It's amazing.
Again, like what I was getting back to of like we're all working toward the same thing. I mean, there are other restaurants and other chefs and restaurant owners, managers, bar professionals and beverage professionals who are doing. I mean, the GM here at Garage, we're in Garage, the bar right now. The GM here, Paul Finn, is traveling all over the country. Portland Cocktail Festival, San Antonio, Tales in New Orleans. He just did a podcast with Kat Kinsman and the Communal Table, who's the senior editor of Food and Wine Magazine, about his mental mise en place, which is.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, me too. It's great. And he's doing panels and putting together panels of industry professionals, bar industry professionals who are looking to change the game as well. And it's
What's
you
his
know,
mental
whether
needs and plus?
Oh, you'll have to get to a podcast with him.
All right.
He'd love to. And so, you know, yeah, there may not be another place doing all of what we're doing, but there are other places doing things where we're all pushing to the same cause. You know, there have been restaurants in this city who have been pushing for healthcare, like Locadoro. Like, they take such good care of their people. They have such a great culture.
Yeah.
The owner and chef Fiore does amazing things. He's been paying their health insurance for years. You know, he is a pioneer in this city on that. There are other restaurants. Sean Turkey pays his staff health insurance. There are, and there are more restaurants guys that do that. And have been doing it. We're all working to the same thing, which is a healthier, more sustainable workforce for the restaurant industry. We don't have to all do the same thing. We don't all have to have 3 different events it's actually 5 events that we do a week to make a difference in the community. We can all work and focus those efforts on just being better, and we can all do it. You know, Fix doesn't have to do it because they can just come over here, right? And they do. And James Robert, the chef and owner, partner of Fix, is a huge pillar in everything we do. He's at all our binge friends. He's another sober chef and restaurant owner. At all our binge friends, at all our runs, taking over lead on things when needed, hosting the biscuit run and things of the sort.
Those biscuits.
And exactly. And he doesn't. We're working together on that.
Sure, yeah.
Fix is involved.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in their dining room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that he is just as important of a part of it as the rest of us.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really important to realize that it's like, just do something.
Yeah.
Right? Just have the mindset. Just have a fucking open conversation. We have the other day, 2 weeks ago at Ben's Friends, and I'm not going to name their names out of some loose and non, I can't say that word. But we had two chefs. One of them was an owner from a very prominent restaurant walk in the door with their sous chef to support him. Yeah. And just to hear what we were doing and just to be able to look at it from a slightly different perspective.
Oh, man,
it gave me fucking chills.
Sure.
I mean, it was a moment. Everyone fucking noticed, right? There are plenty of other prominent chefs that come in and do these things, but this one, it just felt like it felt like a big deal. It was a big deal, and it was just to be there to support their guy.
Yeah.
And it came back the following week, which was this past Monday. And I had a one-on-one with one of those chefs, and I was like, hey, you know, I think what you did was amazing, but what you don't understand is what it did for that guy, because I've been that guy. And, you know, just being able to do that and have an openness about the fact that some of your people in your business, no matter what kind of business you own, may be going through some shit, and that you're a place that will just listen.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Well, and that being said, I know we were talking real quick before we got online about if somebody's listening in here who hasn't had the courage to walk into an AA meeting, but maybe is doing this repetitive cycle of I'm done living this way. Maybe he's driving down Washington Street in Houston saying I'm done with this, or this is how it's going. I'm going out, or whatever it is. But he's listening to Chef Philip Speer here, and I know we're talking into microphones, but what might you say? Like if you could, you know, throw yourself back in his, you know, your shoes years ago, what would you say to get that there's hope out there? It's not just so regurgitated. You know?
But I think that is it.
That's the problem with it. Yeah.
It's the hope and there's time. Like I think people get to this point in their life where like, well, it's too late. This is who I am.
Yeah.
Right. Then I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep doing these things.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Right. This is what I do. This is where I work. I fucking hate it. You know. And then they may not hate where they work, but they hate the repetitiveness of the industry. They don't think they're going any further. I think what the message needs to be is like, hey man, it's not too late to make a change. And tomorrow's a new day, and tomorrow will always be a new day. So if you can make that change and say, you know, it may cause some vulnerability in your life. So
you're going to be vulnerable.
It may need you to at least on the surface maybe admit some things you don't want to admit.
So like require some strength here.
Yeah, it is absolutely, the outcome is absolutely worth it. And you know what, man? Like, do it once, see how it feels.
And that's
there's nothing that says, especially like if you want to walk into Ben's Friends and you know one of the last lines is, you know, there's just a desire to want to make a change.
Yeah.
You know, You just need to want to.
Yeah, so it kind of works for everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, that's an AA principle as well. It's like you just need to have the want to do something different. And it's amazing what your life will look like when you just want to do something different and you haven't resigned to the fact that you can't.
Yeah.
Because you know what? As hokey as it sounds, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Sure.
It's entirely up to you.
Well, I think some of these folks in the industry, when they think about maybe going to an AA meeting to get help, really, people in the back of the house in a kitchen, even those guys don't think that they'll feel accepted amongst a group of alcoholics. Like,
Right.
So what you're doing is kind of like, no, not only are we fucked up, but we also are work in the kitchen.
Right.
So like, we're gonna get it.
Right.
Like the things you are assuming everyone won't get, you're gonna.
And that's exactly it. And it's not just the kitchen; it's the whole restaurant. But you assume when you walk into to a group of people, you assume that nobody understands you. That's just inherent, right?
Yeah.
But here we're going to take some of that away because guess what? We go through the same shit that you go through, whether it's the front of house, back of house, behind the bar, dealing with a guest, dealing with another cook, dealing with product, accepting deliveries. Like,
I'm sure the front of the house needs it more than the back of the house.
I mean,
right?
yeah. Imagine. I mean, I can't do that job.
I know.
You know. I mean, I've owned restaurants. I own this restaurant. I go and I speak to guests and I run their food and ask them how things are and I touch the tables and you don't know how often I just disappear back in the kitchen because it's uncomfortable. Sure. And it's hard. And you know what? Not everybody wants to fucking play.
Okay. That's true.
You know, but as a server, you have, or a bartender, or a barista, or any of these positions in the professional restaurant, you have to just put that aside and deal with it.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Before we wrap up here, I just kind of want to take you through, I don't know, in your 20s. In your 20s, if you heard of a place on Fifth Street or wherever it was, that was kind of like service industry, come in here and get some help. Mm-hmm. I know it's a totally different time, so it's kind of a weird question.
It is, because I'm old.
Yeah, no, it's like there was no.
This was the '90s. Yeah,
there's baggy pants, no smartphones.
There's no Instagram.
On the top of the charts.
There's no Instagram when they're like, oh, they look cool.
But would you, I mean.
I mean, honestly, in that time of my life, I probably would have been uncomfortable with the thought of it and laughed it off.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think happens a lot. You get uncomfortable with the thought of it due to some sort of, you know what I think, and I realize this as being sober for some years now, is me being in a situation where people are drinking, not only because I'm old, but I feel like sometimes it holds a mirror up to you that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't mean that in a self-righteous way by any means at all, because God, I have so much to work on in my life and in my own mental and physical. But I think it's a lot of the uncomfortableness or the unwillingness to be vulnerable in that is due to an insecurity that either you cannot live up to it or you're not good enough to live up to it. Because I think that once it gets to a certain point, most people do want to make a change. They're just scared. And what I want to do is I want to start breaking down that fear and saying, man, it's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. I will listen. I'll cry with you. You know, I can get into my emotions. I'm completely comfortable with that. But in my 20s, I may have laughed that off and been like, fuck that. Give me a skateboard and a cigarette. Yeah. I'm good. I don't need that.
You weren't ready for it.
You know, exactly.
Right. And I guess it's a silly question because you weren't looking for help.
No.
But I know that there's somebody out there who is. You know what I mean?
I did get my first DWI when I was 21, though.
Yeah. Well, even then.
And I mean, I remember I had 4.
Yeah.
So those had to happen. There were different times when I was 21. There were different times in my life, in my 20s, where I was concerned with some of the things I was doing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a child at 22, so I mean, there were definitely times. I got my second DWI in my 20s. That was a big deal.
I think that's a big one.
Most people don't get 2 DWIs.
No,
most people don't get 1.
Yeah,
right. A lot of people don't get 2.
Yeah.
Even more people don't get 3.
I know.
And it's a pretty rare. I'm a pretty rare breed to get the 4. But then again, you hear these stories of people that was like 17.
No, but even with 1 DUI, given 2, but you have your first child. a lot of people want to clean up their act when they have a kid. And
Absolutely.
if you had something like this at your disposal, you might have said,
There may have been.
I want to try that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely went into AA meetings through my 20s and 30s, so maybe so. But
service industry, it's just so spot on. I really do. I passionately love what you're doing with this, and I think.
Thank you. Well, come join us.
I'm always working during that 10 a.m. run. I want to come do that with you.
Yeah, understood.
How
well,
big does the room get for the Ben's?
I look at it as work.
Yeah. I might carve some time out for the run. How big is the room for Ben's friends?
I mean, it's our whole dining room. If we had 100 people who wanted to come, they would fit.
Yeah.
We generally have right around 20 people who come.
Okay.
And it's probably, again, like a group of 50 or 60 who have been in that door for that, and they come and go week to week. And we have a good dozen who are core who are there every week.
Okay.
And then beyond that, we probably have
some good stories.
20 plus people. Yeah, and we share topics and we talk about specific things like how do you deal in that moment of being on the line or being behind the bar or being with a guest where you have this stressful situation come up. What do you do? How do you get that out then instead of holding it up till afterwards and having this need to go blow off this ridiculous amount of steam? It's all about coping, right?
Yeah. Anonymity set aside. If anybody from Ben's friends here at Comedor want to come join in on the podcast, I know it's South Austin, North San Antonio,
right?
But you guys are more than welcome to. I think it would be great to almost bring like a Ben's friending setting to a podcast for the guy who's just can't muster up the strength to go get
maybe I need to be a little clearer on the social media about what it is.
Just a little.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Just you do say
but sometimes I've had a couple people like, okay, here's the weekly Ben's Friends post again. When those people are obviously the people who live within the fear that I'm talking about. But I also don't want to be too redundant. But I think I should probably kind of reiterate about what it is.
But it's great, and we'll throw it out there on the podcast and here and there after I pour people drinks.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate you doing this, and you need to come on with Chef Gabe or whoever.
Yeah, we'd love to do that.
Talk about Comedor, the things you guys are doing. Yeah. It's an exciting time for you guys.
All Cool. Well, I appreciate it. And thanks for leaving your studio to come make this garage studio.
I'm in the wild.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Chef.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.